On the Baltic Front, German soldiers whispered about a name, but none had ever seen her. They only heard a single gunshot, and then their comrades fell. She was just 20, and she was the invisible terror, Roza Shanina. There are stories in war that are not about battles or glorious victories, but about a person who, in a moment between life and death, chose to stand up and change the fate of an entire unit. Roza Shanina is one of those stories. Born in a small village surrounded by the dense forests of Arkhangelsk, Rosa never imagined her life would be tied to rifles and bullets. She grew up with the whispering wind, the scent of fresh wood, and the pages of books under the warm glow of an oil lamp. To everyone around her, Rosa was simply a gentle, studious girl who loved running through the forest and caring for the children at the kindergarten where she once worked. But the world changed. War dragged everyone into its flames. Her brothers left one after another. And when she received the news that her older brother had fallen on the Leningrad front, something inside Rosa shattered. She didn't want to just watch, didn't want to receive bad news in silence. She wanted to fight, not out of hatred, but to protect those who remained. In 1943, Rosa enlisted in the sniper school reserved for carefully selected female soldiers. The thin 18-year-old girl stunned everyone. In Red Army documents, there was one brief line describing her: Shanina, exceptional observation, extremely fast target acquisition, rare mental fortitude. After only a few months of training, she ranked among the top of her class. And then she was sent to the Baltic Front, where the bloodiest battles were raging. Life at the forward line was not for the faint-hearted. Mud, snow, the charred remains of tanks, artillery roaring without pause. The Baltic Front was a nightmare no one could wake from. There, Rosa rose to fame quickly, not because she was a young woman among men, but because her eyes, the eyes of a hunter, could spot an enemy hidden deep within foliage, behind rocks, or under earth blackened by gunpowder. Her comrades recalled, when Shanina raised her rifle, the whole unit held its breath. She never missed. January 16, 1945, the Battle of the Velikaya River. That day, the cold was so fierce that breath turned to ice the moment it touched the air. Fog blanketed the river, and across the bank, the Germans were waiting. They had set up machine gun nests, fortified positions, and expertly concealed sniper holes. Every time the Red Army moved forward a few meters, another man fell. Raising your head above the trench meant death. Rosa's unit was trapped. No advance. No retreat. Shanina, find him. A commander rushed over, his face covered in mud and blood. There's a sniper wiping out our entire left flank. If we don't eliminate him, we're dead here. Rosa asked nothing. She only nodded. Through a storm of bullets, she slid out of the trench. Cold, mud, splinters, bullets slicing the ground like knives. But Rosa didn't stop. She pressed her body against the frozen earth, moving centimeter by centimeter. Silent. Invisible. Disappearing among broken trees and cratered soil. By the time she reached a vantage point, the sun had risen higher, but Rosa remained perfectly still. 2 hours passed. She didn't move an inch. The Red Army waited anxiously. No one knew if she was alive or dead. Then suddenly, Rosa's eyes lit up. There he was, a German sniper, camouflaged so perfectly he was nearly part of the forest itself. He was adjusting his scope, seconds away from firing on a group of Soviet troops. Rosa lifted her rifle, held her breath. A silence stretched into eternity. Then, bang, one bullet, enough to change the entire course of the battle. Because of Rosa's shot, the Red Army's left flank surged forward like fire. They stormed enemy nests, crushed resistance, and captured a position once thought impossible to take. Later, the unit's report stated, "The courage and decisiveness of Sergeant Shanina saved dozens of soldiers and broke the enemy's line." But Rosa was never proud of her achievements. In her diary, she wrote, "I don't want to be a hero. I just want my comrades to go home." January 27, 1945. The next battle was even worse. Endless shelling, earth exploding, bodies thrown through the air in horrifying blasts. Amid the chaos, a young officer lay gravely wounded in an open field, a place no one dared to cross. Rosa looked at him, then at the ashen sky. She made her decision. Without waiting for orders, she rose from her shelter, running, crouching, crawling, dragging the wounded officer behind fallen debris. Bullets sliced past. Shrapnel tore through the air like a swarm of enraged bees, a thunderous explosion. Rosa collapsed. Shrapnel had torn through her chest and abdomen. Her comrades rushed to her side, cradling her in arms stained with blood and snow. Rosa breathed weakly, her eyes still fixed on the man she had shielded. She whispered, trembling but resolute, "Don't let him die." Those were her final words. Roza Shanina died mid gunfire, in the arms of soldiers who had come to see her as the little sister of the entire company. No one spoke. No one cried. Because in war, sometimes even tears are not enough. She was buried in East Prussia. A simple grave for a girl taken far too soon. Weeks later, when the front moved forward, her unit received an order from High Command. Roza Shanina was posthumously awarded the Order of Glory, 3rd class, one of the rarest honors given to a female sniper. But Rosa was no longer there to hear it. When the fighting calmed, soldiers found her diary, muddy, torn, but still filled with trembling handwriting. "I am not afraid of death. I am afraid that I will not do enough to protect those who fight beside me." And that sentence is what made Rosa a legend. Not the number of enemies she eliminated, not the victories recorded in reports, but the unwavering courage of a girl barely 20. Today, when people recall the Soviet female snipers of World War II, they speak of names like Pavlichenko. But among them, one small, radiant name always stands out: Roza Shanina. The girl who left her wooden home to enter a brutal war. The girl who carried a gentle heart into a world of fire and bullets. The girl who never thought herself a hero, yet became one of the greatest symbols of courage. Rosa lived only 20 years. But to become a legend, sometimes that is enough. Because legends do not need long lives. They need only one thing: courage until the very last breath. Roza Shanina, a young woman only 20 when the war took everything from her. No fame, no search for glory. She simply wanted to protect the people fighting beside her, and that alone made her a symbol of courage. Her story reminds us that sometimes the most ordinary people do the most extraordinary things. Amid chaos and fear, she still chose to step forward, still chose to help others, even when the cost was her own life. If you feel this story touched you, I'd truly appreciate it if you could leave a like to support the channel and help me keep telling stories like this. Don't forget to subscribe so we can continue this journey together. If possible, please share the video so names like Roza Shanina are never forgotten. Thank you so much for watching until the end. I'll see you in the next story.